In today's episode, we're exploring how leadership can impact schools and impact the education of our children.
At InitiativeOne, we're igniting a leadership revolution by helping organizations eliminate the drama, improve decision-making, and win as a team. Join Dr. Fred Johnson on the Leadership Initiative podcast as we uncover insights to maximize your impact and transform your life.
Welcome back to the Leadership Initiative podcast. I'm Tracy Johnson, CEO at InitiativeOne. Today, I want to welcome our guest, Betty Vazquez. I hope I got that right. Close?
Close.
Go.
Vazquez.
Betty Vazquez. I want to make sure I say that right. Betty is here from the Fond du Lac School District. Fond du Lac is the 19th largest school district in Wisconsin, and Betty is in the ELA area of the district, and she touches so many lives within the district. And we've had a history of working together for about a year and a half, and Betty's been on a leadership journey with us and with the school district, learning and growing and getting better as a leader, and we're going to have a conversation about that today. So welcome, Betty.
Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. To start out today, I want to ask you a question just about your own personal journey in public education. Mm-hmm. What inspired you? What attracted you to public education, and why do you stay?
Initially, I didn't foresee myself necessarily in public education. Growing up, my family is very united, and my parents taught me that we help each other as a community. So we are all in it together, and we talk things out together, and we figure things out together, and we help people who cannot help themselves, so to say. So if we all put our, ideas and what we know together, we're so much better. And coming from a bilingual family, my family always loved helping out in the community, people who would come, who didn't know where to go and where to turn. So growing up, I knew I wanted to help others. That's what I wanted to do.
That's amazing.
And teaching just, when I started my first years in college and thinking about my experiences in school, I knew that I could help, and being bilingual was a plus, right? I could help kids who were very similar to myself in growing up in a multilingual household.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So early on, what I hear you saying, and how we teach collaboration and consensus, and
yes,
how that, just from a foundational perspective, the impact and the results of that are so much stronger. And within your culture, within your family, that already existed. That was very natural to you.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as you stepped into Fond du Lac School District back in 2012.
2012.
So almost 12 years ago, when you think about those first days and think about it from not just an educational perspective, but from your own leadership growth perspective, what are some of the lessons that you learned in those early days that you carried into the educational program or the work that you do today at Fond du Lac?
Stepping in, I guess, at first, I didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah.
So when you first get into education, there's this spark that you have when you get in. And I feel like somewhere along the line, sometimes you tend to lose, why am I here? And it turns into that shift in mindset, which is what I've come to learn about myself again, is I get to be here. I get to do all these things. I get to do what I love, and remembering the why in what I'm doing today.
That's amazing. You're describing leading from purpose. You're describing, how do I lead from my place of purpose? And we work hard in transformation to help leaders who have been out in the industry and have been through a lot in terms of their career history. And as you raise a family, and you have beautiful 4 children in your family, 4 daughters. Is that right?
I have 3 sons. 3 daughters and a son. He's my baby. He's the
baby is a son. So you, along with this educational journey, you've had your own family to grow and raise and lead with your husband. And I know that's a big part of who you are. And so as I think about your purpose, or I think about how your purpose drives you, and the work that we did, as you went through the leadership process, what did you relearn about your purpose and how to ignite that and how to look within yourself versus looking outside of yourself?
For the longest time when I was a teacher, before moving into the position I'm in now, I always had this mindset with my children in mind of there are teachers out there who are giving my kids their best. So when I have your children, I have to give them my best. I have to give them my best self every single time they come into the classroom. And my kids actually go to the school where I worked when I was in the classroom. So I got to see the amount of effort that teachers put in to my kids. And I'm like, I'm going to give it everything every day for everyone else's kids, because at the end of the day, they're our kids. And we all get to do this together. We get to work and grow together, and we get to learn about our colleagues and kids together. So to me, that was super important.
You could just hear the passion inside of you and that purpose reignited and connected to what you do day in and day out. Really, really powerful. And that's been one of the amazing things working at Fond du Lac is just the commitment at not just the administrative level to make a difference for kids, but the commitment at every level of the organization to make a difference for kids and having that focus. And so when we first came in to work with Fond du Lac, and you were a part of that team, there was some waywardness, some loss in that strong purpose in terms of what you did. How would you describe working in that environment where there wasn't as much clarity in where you were headed as a team? What was the experience? What were some of the struggles that you were just trying to navigate through? And as an individual navigating through that, I'm sure felt very lonely at times.
Yeah, I feel like the biggest thing that comes to mind for me is conversations that we should have just had naturally that we weren't having because of fear of I don't know what, to be very honest. So I always put everything I do into child perspective. So when we have conversations with kids, we say, okay, so-and-so did this, you go have that conversation with that person. But yet as adults, we weren't doing that. So I thought that was a huge key into what we were missing in our organization. Like if I have something to tell you, Tracy, I should just come up and tell you, knowing that it's important and we need to have this conversation because it's going to impact students. And at the end of the day, that's what we're all here for. We're here to, for student achievement and to help students push forward and have them be their best. And in order to do that, we need to be at our best. And as adults, we need to have conversations in order to get there.
Amazing. And framing that up just in terms of the process, those were some of the tools in terms of creating that safe environment, making sure we have psychological safety so people can step into those conversations. I think about playgrounds, right? As you're talking about, small children, our playgrounds have to be safe, right? And the first part of that is physical safety, and then secondly is do we feel safe, emotionally safe to step into conversations that are hard sometimes?
Yes.
And so as the school district has recalibrated to student focus, what are some of the innovative things that, as you've taken back your purpose, your leadership, and stepped into this role really to impact ELA across the district, what are some of the innovations that you and your team have implemented?
All right, can I?
Yeah, like what are some of the things that you're doing differently today that you have done, that you have come together as an ELA team and really said, we're going to make this really, really stick and help people to understand what it's like being bilingual coming into, or maybe even singular lingo, learning English coming into the district.
It's interesting that you say that because in my particular role this year with my new team, I'm going to call it new team. It's been, I don't want, roller coaster is not a good term for it, but it's been a learning journey. So in my, last few months in doing my new position of EL and bilingual education, I get to work with a team, And this is brand new to our district. We've never had leadership in this area. So the fact that we have a team put together and we get to make decisions, it's been a learning curve because we have to put everything that we know at the table, and we have to leave things at the table and talk about what's best in order to move our district forward. So to me, that's been the biggest learning curve so far, and because we get to navigate and create what we want for our district in this department for multilingual students. With that,
Amazing.
Our team, our teachers in the EL department have done a great job. And the way I like to explain it when people are asking questions about what we do, it's kind of like in our department, it's like a puzzle. This is how I like to describe it. It's like a puzzle. All the pieces are there.
Excellent.
We just have to figure out how do we put the puzzle together and put the pieces together slowly so we get a great end result. So all the work that has been done before we got there, it's there. So now we just have to ask our teachers, our colleagues, what parts do we want to put in right now to make it start looking completed? And it's new, so it's a process, and it's a growing population that, just like my family, like we want to support and be there and make sure all kids are included and all kids have the same education, have the same experiences, have the same opportunities as everyone else, because every student should have opportunities to be what they want to be.
That's excellent. When I think about the team that has come together in this area, all powerful leaders and really advocates for students. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things that I think about when you were going through the transformation process, to see your confidence grow in that advocacy, it has to come from within, right? It has to start there first. And your growth from a purpose standpoint really I've seen such great confidence, and just how do we solve this puzzle? How do we put this puzzle together? Just a conviction that's there that maybe a year ago I didn't see. That is so much stronger today.
And I feel like we have to see it within ourselves first. It's there for I think many of us. It's that purpose that you talk about. Why are we doing what we're doing? How do we give our best? And how do we learn from each other and grow to do things to make things better for an organization? That's really what it comes down to.
Excellent. And the organization, I go back to that family system. The organization is your family. Mm-hmm. And so, you've embraced and embodied everything that we would hope for public educators to really create that environment for kids to be successful. So we're just so proud of the district. We have seen in the 3 years that we've been working with you all, just increase in student achievement results over, just year over year since we've been doing the work. What would you attribute that change to? Why is it improving at the rate that it's improving? What do you see as the and there's no magic pill, right? There's no magic fairy dust to make this happen. What would you see as some of the key ingredients that you've been able to take students, put them at the center, and begin to see the impact and the results in their success? What do you think has changed? What do you think those ingredients are?
I think it's coming together as a team in different levels, right? And talking about why are we here? What are we doing? How do we get them to move forward? Mm. So having conversations, and in those conversations being able to agree to disagree, and making sure everybody's input is taken into consideration when we talk about kids. So to me, that has been huge, and thinking about overall the whole picture. What are we here for? We're here for kids. Okay, what do we do next? And just kind of having a system in place of how do we get to the next step? How do we get to the next level for kids?
And you're figuring that out in real time. Your team has had to develop and as you were describing how your team has come together and your decision making in real time and your problem solving in real time, your team has had to begin to really sift out what's most impactful. What are we going to spend our resources, time, effort, focus, and energy on so that we can make greater impact? Yes. Which pieces of the puzzle go together first, second, third, so that we can make greater impact? And sometimes when we're trying to put those puzzle pieces together, we lose focus.
Yes.
And that's what I hear you saying. It's all there. Mm-hmm. And now you just get to make it into a laser to help kids on a day in and day out basis.
And when we talk about things like that, it's like things that were a priority in 1-2, right?
Yes.
What is your 1-2? What is your 8, 9, 10? And sometimes it's interesting because when we talk about deadlines in education and testing and things like that, sometimes something we put as a 6, like, okay, I'll get to that later. All of a sudden it's like, okay, it's 2 weeks later. We were working on these things and we were having conversations and we were working hard to get this stuff done. Now this 6 becomes at like 3, like we need to get this done. And it's prioritizing what comes first, but for the greater good of helping students.
Yeah, that is a great description of constantly sharpening what we teach from a Pareto perspective. That's sharpening our Pareto every day. Mm-hmm. And wouldn't it be great if it could be linear and always happen in the way that you hope that it would happen, which is why you always have to go back and recalibrate and make sure that you're on the same page. And
yes.
All of those conversations and dialogue require rigorous like debate sometimes, and debate is oftentimes seen as something to avoid, right? Or that you got to fight for what you want or fight for what you need, and sometimes people see that adversarial position as something we shouldn't do, and so as you describe communication. I'm wondering in the learnings that we've gone through, how have you used conflict or adversarial, positions to help get to that end result or that decision? How have you as a team worked those things out in a constructive way and maintain strong relationships?
I think it's important that as individuals, we have to own up like to who we are and what we're doing. So I guess by that, I mean, like when I go into a room with colleagues or with anybody, right, with adults to have conversations about students, I always go with, I am going to tell you what I think and feel from my perspective, but same way, I want you to do the same. And we have to be able to listen to each other and learn from each other. And I'm not going to have things right. I am not perfect by any means. Nobody is, right? But I am always going to tell you what I think and what I feel and give you my best. And in return, if you think something's wrong with something that I say, I would hope that you would be able to just tell me, hey, I agree, I disagree with you, and we have a conversation about whatever it is. So just being open and honest, I think, is huge. And having that comfort of, I'm not right all the time. I think when we make ourselves more, like, I don't know what the word is, but like relatable, like almost like that. Like, okay, do you understand where I'm coming from? And if you don't, let me explain more. And it's okay to be wrong, too, with that. Like, just understanding who we are as individuals and learning and growing.
Love
from
that.
each other. And to me, that's how my relationships, at least in the work that I do, like people know I'm going to make mistakes and I will own up to it. And I think that ownership too is helpful in realizing you can make mistakes. Nobody is going to be upset because that's how we learn and grow. And that's what we teach children to do too. We teach them to make mistakes, to learn is grow. So we as adults need to do the same. And how do we get better if we don't make mistakes?
I love that. I love your humility. I mean, I just think of what that embodied, Betty. It's humility. It's willing to take a risk and really speak your truth and being open, right, to the other person's perspective.
But can I say, I
Yes.
really appreciate even right now it took me a while. Like I knew what I wanted to say. It just took me a minute to get there. Like,
Yeah.
and that's what people, that at least what that's what I bring when I have conversations with people. Like
Love
it's
that.
in here, but you have to understand me as a person to get to that point. It takes a bit, but that I have to learn that about others too, and who they are and what they bring, and like take it in and learn from it, so we can work together and do what's best for kids, for everyone.
That's excellent. So one last question. You had gone through the leadership transformation process, and initially I know there was a lot of nervousness, a lot of, okay, what is this? What advisement would you give someone who is heading into leadership transformation in one of our teams that we're working with? What if like first day one, what advisement would you give them?
It's a journey. And my advice would be figure out your purpose. Okay, and lead with purpose. Why are you choosing what you're choosing? And know where your heart is. Like, what's your why behind doing what you do? So that's what I think of now that I'm in this new role in education. Why do I do what I do every day?
I love
and
that.
Bringing that back every day when I walk in, that's what gets me
That's-
moving. So if you're going to be a leader, just take it and lead with purpose. Do it because your why is you're there for a reason, and that reason is ultimately what will drive you every day.
I love that.
So
you rock.
Thank you.
You rock. The student has now become the teacher. I mean, isn't that?
I wouldn't say that.
Isn't that so? Like, it's so, you're so amazing, and the district is so amazing. We're so proud to be a partner of yours.
No, and I'm excited that I got the opportunity to know my why again. It was there. It was always there. It's not that it wasn't there. It was there. It just wasn't strong and out in the forefront. And now I know why I want to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I'm doing it with purpose. Like, I want to make an impact, but I also want to celebrate all the little things as the impact grows, I guess. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being a part of our podcast.
Thank
you. We love having you here. Thank you so much, Betty.
Thank you.
So glad you joined us today. If you would like to learn more about InitiativeOne, please join us on our monthly think tanks. You can register online at InitiativeOne.com. We would love to see you a part of our leadership community, continuing to learn and grow and learn more about our services. Be happy to reach out and help in any way that we can. So thanks for being here today.